I hear you okay. So
Yeah.
maybe Arun,
Okay.
you could turn your volume up a little bit.
Yeah. Just a moment. I'm just turning up the volume.
Unless you can't hear me okay.
Yes. Okay. So, like we already for today's agenda is we already had several sessions before, like with such amazing speakers. If you missed any session, you can check on our YouTube channel. And for more information, our GSDC YouTube channel link is mentioned in the Dropbox down, so you can go through it. And you can see some of these amazing speakers who have like given the sessions on our masterclass series, that is generative AI. And let me introduce you to our hosting organization, that is GSDC. So GSDC, we are a vendor neutral, vendor agnostic, globally recognized certification body. We are accredited by NC and ABICB. They are renowned certification bodies, and we have 100 plus. Just a moment. We have 100 plus certification portfolio, and we have successfully like certified 90,000 plus and professionals under GSDC. We have 100 plus authorized training partners and 500 plus subject matter experts. And also we are associated with the 1,000 plus MNC corporates and 500 and 30 plus universities. And for more information about our our organization, you can like check the link in the chat box. That is our website. Just a second. Just a second. My screen is stuck.
It's moving for us now.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so apologies for this screen struck. So as I mentioned before, we are associated with the authorized training partners. So we have 100 plus training partners associated with us globally. And we have these partners in Asia, Africa, and Europe and Canada, many more countries globally. And thank you to those who are joining this session from our partner channels. And if you want to see our partner list, you can go through our website, and the link is mentioned in the chat box. And thank you very much, our proud patrons. A big shout out to them for sharing this knowledgeable events with their network. And thank you very much, WordPress Hub. They are our official media partner. They cover all our social media events. And as I mentioned before, we have 100 plus certification portfolio. And for this session, we are particularly focusing on our Gen AI certifications. So these are some of the Gen AI certifications. And as we are one of the very few organizations that are providing Gen AI certification, so you can check the full list of certification on our website, and the link is shared in the chat box. Very good news to all the participants and the attendees who are attending this session. You will be receiving a complimentary $200 GSTC certified Gen AI Foundation voucher. So stay connected with us for this till end. Yeah, lifelong membership. Any candidate who is certified with GSDC will be getting a lifelong membership and complimentary upgrade to all the certifications. Also, a free access to all our global summits, workshop, and events which we are going on. And yeah, so here's an announcement, quick announcement with everyone. End of this session, we have a quick 15 minutes of gamification session. The top winner will win a Gen AI voucher worth $400, and top three winners will be posted on the GSDC Wall of Fame. And yes, so let me introduce you our keynote speaker, Miss Noel Russell, founder, co-director, AI Leadership Institute. A big welcome, Noel, from GSDC's side. And she has had many pivotal roles at global tech giants like AWS, Amazon, Alexa, Microsoft AI, IBM, and many more. She is also acknowledged by voicebot.ai as one of the top influencers in voice and awarded with the Executive of the Year title at the Alexa conference. She is also recognized with the Women in AI award. I would like to like a big welcome her here. And if you want to learn more about our speaker, then LinkedIn profile is shared in the chat box. And thank you, Noel. Before we go further, post this session, we'll be having a quick 15 minutes of Q&A session. Meanwhile, during this session, everybody can put their questions in the chat box. And after the speaker session, we can discuss it further regarding this. Yes, Noel, you can take over the virtual mic. Right.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna share my screen, and
Yeah.
hopefully, there we go. Oh dear, I forgot to see. I'm gonna just double check really quick to make sure you all can hear the audio. There is a couple videos today, so if you haven't done so already, you can just make sure your volume is okay. My second video is a little bit loud, so I don't want it to startle you. Yes, I did not hit the share sound, so great. I just want to make sure. There we go. Awesome. Okay, cool. And maybe you could just confirm verbally that you could hear me, okay?
Yes, yes, Noel, we can
And you
hear
can
you.
see the
Yeah.
screen, okay.
Yes, yes, we can see this. Yes.
Wonderful, great. So nice to be here. Okay, so thanks for that wonderful introduction, but I am going to let someone else also offer a bit of an introduction. I'll go ahead and let that play now, and then I'll tell you how I created it.
I am Nearly Noel, a synthesized avatar, here to help with the introduction. Get ready to meet the incredible Noelle Russell. She's not your ordinary technologist, she's a game changer. With her entrepreneurial spirit and expertise in conversational AI, generative AI, and language models, Noelle has revolutionized the tech industry. But here's the best part. Noelle is so much more than her professional achievements. She's a true inspiration for balancing work and family life. As a wife and mother of 6, she embodies the definition of courage and determination. Get ready to be blown away by Noelle's spectacular journey. Join me in welcoming the phenomenal Noelle Russell.
The cloud goes wild. So everyone, I just threw it into the chat that I used HeyGen, and you can see that at the bottom here as well. I used a platform called HeyGen to create this. I actually created it quite some time ago. I ended up building a new one yesterday. Maybe if I get a chance, I'll show it to you when we're done. But this is what they would call a deep fake, synthesized media. And the benefit of it is that I had to stand in front of my office wall. I talked for 2 minutes about really anything I wanted to. I think one of the things I do truly appreciate about the platform and about those building deep fakes at scale is that they do allow you to just talk about something you're passionate about. And just like I'm talking to you and using my hands, it captures this information over 2 minutes. It then takes about, I don't know, less than 15 minutes to capture and create what they call an instant avatar. And no coding is necessary. Poof, you have one. And even the words that I use, I mean, though I'd like to take credit for saying something like the phenomenal Noelle Russell, I did not say that. I actually went, excuse me, to ChatGPT, and I just asked it to write a description of, write an introduction that you might say about someone like Noelle. I put my name specifically. Write an introduction for Noelle that you would use on a keynote stage, right before I do a keynote presentation. And I use this keynote all over the world. Oh my gosh, yes, I definitely will be doing that. Thank you very much for that question. And thank you for also writing that question in. So I am monitoring the chat. If you have questions as I start speaking, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I won't look over it because I do have it on a separate screen. If I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at your chat. But I will try to keep up with that as we're talking. But if not, I will also reserve about 15 minutes at the end of this session to just go through any questions that have come in through the chat as we go through. This, I will tell you, if you don't have one already, go ahead and grab your notebook. Get ready to take some notes because we are going to go on a whirlwind tour that has been my career. Now, I don't have to spend a lot of time here, but you'll see here there is a QR code and this is the same talk, whether I'm in sales or tech, you'll see. But you already got this link in the chat, so you can actually connect with me directly. I do encourage you, though, to connect with me on LinkedIn. Not just follow, though, of course, you can follow, but don't just follow me. I'm encouraging you to connect, because when you connect, you can send me real questions and I can get them in my inbox and I can respond. I'm very responsive as I possibly can be, but I also have a team of people who help me respond to messages that come into LinkedIn. So if it's for resources or job alerts or ideas on how to get certified, how to prepare for the certification that this class hopefully will help prepare you for, all of those things, I welcome those questions and would love to help you on your journey. Now, I do like to start every conversation, and some of you may have seen me before, so you may have seen this before. But this is, why I do what I do. Everyone you see here are very important to me, and they've launched me on my journey into technology and into artificial intelligence. As my nearly Noel counterpart introduced, I do have 6 kids, so that's all of them, my whole gaggle of humans. I also, though, I'm married. We are high school sweethearts. So maybe some of you are also married to your high school sweetheart, but we've known each other forever. And my dad is here as well. But I want to take you back to a time, it actually was about 19 years ago. And I was a first-time mom. Now, I obviously have had lots of kids since then, but I was a first-time mom. And I remember, and right after I had my first baby, and I loved being pregnant. I loved, the whole thing. But right after the birth of my child, a doctor came in and had this look on his face like something was wrong. And I was like, oh no. I was pretty concerned. And he came up to us and said, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, it looks like your child is born with a chromosomal abnormality. It's called Down syndrome. It's very rare. However, and very rare in a young mom like yourself. And I guess he must have seen the look on my face, maybe of concern or what am I going to do? Because he then offered a couple options. He said, oh, don't worry, you can, put this child up for adoption. There are families that take care of kids like this. There are institutions that can take care of kids like this. And this was just 19 years ago. Like, he's telling me that I don't have to take my child home. Anyway, 2 things immediately came into my mind. One, well, first, I'm a Latina, and in the Hispanic culture, I wouldn't necessarily, one, walk away from something like my family, or B, like everybody in my world, my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunts, my uncles, my mom, my brother would all be part of that decision. And so that was immediately, I was like, well, I'm not walking away from this. But the second thing that was so important and that immediately came to my mind was that I'm a technologist at heart. My journey into tech started during the first time the world was going to end, Y2K, right? If you remember, some of you may have been around during Y2K, but that launched my journey into tech. So this is now 10 years later. By that time, I already kind of had an idea about how I could use technology to make his life better. And that became my mission. I wanted to make the world better for him, more accessible to him, not hide the world from him. Like, that's not the outcome I wanted. So if you look at my LinkedIn and we do become friends, you'll see I handcrafted my career. I picked the companies I wanted to work for based on my desire to leverage technology to improve the world for accessibility for everyone. The good news is that when you build solutions that are accessible, you actually don't just help those who need it, like my son, you actually help the entire world have technology that's more easy for them to access, to talk to interact with. And AI helped us launch that. Now, about 10 years ago, so that was 19 years ago. Now, 10 years ago from actually this year, I was invited, I guess it was a little bit more than 10 years ago now, but I got an email, came across my desk. Some of you have seen emails just like this. I got an email, it came across my desk, and it said, hey, Noel, I would like you to join a new team. And the person who wrote that email was Jeff Bezos. Now, I obviously have in hindsight realized maybe it wasn't him, that he sent that to the whole company, not just to Noel. But at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, Jeff Bezos sent me an email. This is amazing. And he was inviting us to join a new team. And this team was all about how do you build the Star Trek computer. Are you familiar with Star Trek? Do you know it? The Star Trek computer. And I was raised on the golden age of science fiction. My dad, who's there in the corner, he, like, when I was 6 years old, I was reading books from Bradbury and Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke. Like, I was very heavily influenced by this in my life, which meant that I had always been reading books and experiencing kind of this idea of talking to computers, talking to robots, talking to machines. And so I, of course, was like, absolutely, I want to do this. So I jumped into the world of AI. 10 years ago, I became employee 10 on the Amazon Alexa skills team. I built over 100 applications for Alexa. Some of those applications to this day have a couple million unique users hit them. And it was an interesting time because the world was not building production AI, as many of you might think we are today. The world was just getting started in how do I talk to my tech? Google Assistant hadn't launched yet, right? Like Siri was not as successful as they hoped it would be. There was so much happening, and I wanted to be a part of that, but not because I love tech, though I do, but because I wanted to help my son, right? Because I had this mission that would drive me. And that mission, of course, ended up being served a bunch of different ways, as I'll share with you. Now, I've gotten a lot of awards along the way. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. You mentioned quite a few of them, but I will tell you one of the main reasons these awards were given was not because I did anything unique or built something. Like, I didn't get a patent. I may still get one day. I've definitely influenced a lot of patents, but I don't have a patent on under my name. But what I do have is that in these projects, these companies that are building AI systems, I was often the one in the room who would raise their hand and say, have we thought about things differently? Have we thought about something, like any other idea other than the one we were focused on? I'll give you an example. I remember in the early days of Amazon Alexa, Jeff Bezos brought us into a room and he wrote on the whiteboard 10 of the skills he wanted us to build, 10 of the applications he wanted Alexa to have. And in that, I thought it was fascinating because at that time, I was the only female in the room as a builder. I was also the only Latina. Now, that is not necessarily new or uncommon because I'm almost always the only Latina on the teams that I'm on. However, what was interesting and new was the fact that I was also the only parent. I was the only one who had children at that time. I was also the only one taking care of my dad at that time. And so my perspective on what I wanted Alexa to be was very different than the perspective we were building for. So I decided to change things up. I decided to do things a new way. And at that time, I asked in that meeting, excuse me, do you think it'd be okay if I build something that's not on that list? And Jeff Bezos, I remember telling the whole team, the organization, he was like, and it's something I use to this day. It's kind of a mantra, a mental pattern that I adopted as a result of this conversation. But he said, like, build something that you think users, your customers will like. And if they like it, keep building it. And if they don't like it, stop building it. 95% of our roadmap at that time was being driven by customer feedback. Are customers asking for it? Then keep going. Are they complaining about it? Definitely keep going. But if they don't care about it at all, stop and move on to something they care about. This is critical. It's actually around a leadership principle called at Amazon, which is all about figuring out, like, how do we build the right thing at the right time? And the leadership principle at Amazon was called customer obsession. Be obsessed with what your customers care about. Innovate on behalf of your customers, and then work backwards to figure out what you need to do to make that dream that your customers have a reality. Well, I was working back from the needs of my son and my dad, being that I was caring for him. And so my journey, the things I chose to build were very different. I built applications on Amazon Alexa all around mindfulness and kindness and positive prayer. And I remember everyone around me saying I was crazy, that nobody needed mindfulness in the kitchen. Nobody wanted prayer in a kitchen device. Well, guess what? That device is no longer in just the kitchen. It's in nursing homes, it's in hospitals, it's in classrooms. But if I didn't think and be willing to build for those users before the product, the company had a vision for that, I had to let my vision really push the envelope of what the organization was willing to do. And I think your vision very similarly can do the same. Every one of you has a problem you care about. And if you don't, you can easily find one. But every one of you has something that you care about, that's something you're passionate about, probably something that you've cared about since childhood, or maybe since early adolescence, like something that's driven you, that's given you a reason for doing the things that you do. And I, again, encourage you, if you don't know what that is, it doesn't mean you don't have it. It just means maybe you want to spend some time exploring that. Well, as I'm on my mission, right, going and like, who do I work for to help me leverage this technology? I'm now a huge proponent of AI. I remember at Jeff Bezos, he said in All Hands, he was like, this was in 2013. He was like, AI will be everywhere. Alexa will be everywhere. Voice will be everywhere. And I remember back then it wasn't anywhere, right? Nobody knew what it was. So we were like going through the motions of trying to figure out like, how do we build something when nobody wants to create it? Oh my gosh, my Alexa device just launched. So if you have an Alexa device, sorry. But how do we make, when we have a vision for the world, and I almost always do, when I have a vision that I'm trying to go after, it's really important that you realize that people will come into your world and they may tell you, like my development team, they looked at me and they're like, you could build that, Noelle, but nobody's going to use it. And I remember thinking at that time, like, but I would use it. Like I would use it. My friends would use it. That's how every really good project starts. And many times we are infused with voices, people, sometimes very trusted people who will tell us, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good use of your time. I'm not sure. But then every so often we have a leader, or maybe it's our own internal voice that says what Jeff Bezos said, build it quickly, see if customers love it. And if they love it, keep going. And that's exactly what I did. Now I headed over to Microsoft and I want to share with you the campaign we launched when I first got there. You'll see it changes a little bit of the dynamic that was at Microsoft at this time. This was like at 2017, 2018, right before ChatGPT, but it's a very interesting take on the world. So it is a little bit loud, so keep an eye on your speakers. I don't want to blow you out of the water, but let's take a look.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
Every time I see that video, I'm always like, oh my gosh, like, let's go build something. Probably the most important words that came out of that presentation, that video, was AI is just a tool. And I have spent the last, I don't know, 7 years or so helping companies understand how AI could be used as a tool to amplify what they were trying to do in their organization. Now, what the gift I'm going to give to you today is I have spent very specifically in the world of generative AI, because this organization has built out a really incredible generative AI certification program. I wanted to give you some sense into, I call it from playground to production, right? Or how do you go from the enthusiasm of the AI hype cycle into execution of deliverable, resilient, responsible AI systems? Companies are doing this today. And I've got a really interesting history, which I've now shared with you, that has like put me on a path to be really instrumental in many of these projects, because I know how bad it could go. So I'm going to share with you now, last year I had an opportunity to build about 35 generative AI projects. Some of them end to end, some of them I was brought in just at the end to help make sure that they weren't going to hurt anyone. And out of all those projects, I did a very common sequence. It's something that I do at the AI Leadership Institute, where I help boards and companies and founders, as well as executives inside and leaders inside of large companies. I help them navigate how to implement AI in their companies. And I often go from the boardroom, which means first start with the executives in the company, the leadership. Then I go from the boardroom to the whiteboard to the keyboard, right? So start with the boardroom, get everybody excited, but also aware of what they're getting themselves into. Then talk to the technical leadership, the architects, some of you maybe, to actually figure out like what technically is required. But then the most important piece is put your fingers on a keyboard and build something. And this sequence I have used hundreds of times, but every time I do this, I get the same 3 questions from the leaders that I'm talking to. Same 3 questions every time. So I'm going to share those questions with you and a quick answer to them. I have also in the chat shared my upskilling guide. This is a free guide. It's not leading you anywhere. I encourage you to really investigate the certification programs, of course, provided here. That's not what I do. But it is a guide that I gave to my team when I built this team last year. Now, I built this team. I found 40 of my friends who were willing to learn what generative AI meant. Now, here's why I know more than the average person, because during COVID, I received an email. I, at this point, had left Microsoft after launching 17 research models into production, but they then awarded me an MVP award, which stands for Most Valuable Professional in AI. Now, Microsoft giving that to me means I now get access to cool new stuff. And the cool new thing that was happening during COVID was OpenAI was beta testing a technology known as Copilot. And that Copilot would eventually become ChatGPT, but it wasn't yet. And it was actually focused on Codex, for those of you who remember. And the Codex model was all around code development. So I was using it inside GitHub to help me write better code. So this was in 2020, 2021. So long before ChatGPT launched, like nobody knew what it was yet. So now imagine my luck when I end up in a company, Accenture, and I am working and they're like, hey, we want to launch a new practice around generative AI. And I'm like, oh, I know that stuff. And they didn't believe me at first, but then I showed them like how long I'd been on the beta and they were like, oh my gosh, you should lead this team. The moral of that story is that sometimes people are going to invite you to participate in something, and you might say, I don't have time for that. I have 6 kids. I don't have time for a lot of things. But I know based on my reading, staying research, staying connected with the community, I know when things are coming. I knew when to jump on Alexa. I knew when to go to Microsoft to launch Microsoft AI, and I knew when to become a beta tester on GitHub Copilot. And all of that served me well. So I encourage you to don't say yes to everything, but be present in these communities so that when the opportunity presents itself, you are ready to say yes to those opportunities. So now I'm in a position where I can now build a practice around generative AI. And I will tell you, just like at my days at Amazon, those early days when my developers around me were like, I don't think those skills you want to build are going to work. I don't think it's going to work out for you. What ended up happening when I started at Accenture is people would tell me, you can't sell generative AI. You can't sell projects like that. People aren't buying that. Well, whenever I get, whenever people tell me no, my voice in my head kind of translates it into, okay, watch me. Or, when people say no, I say, let's go, right? Like that's how I instantly am like, let's go do this. Let's figure this out. So that's what we did. So after 30 projects, I realized this pattern that every executive team would ask me. And the very first question they would often ask is, how do I make sure that I build something helpful and not harmful? Now, I'll be honest with you. This is not exactly how they frame the question, right? They actually frame the question more like, how do I not hurt my brand? How do I not hurt my organization? How do I not hurt my company or my employees? So they're not actually over-indexing on how to be more helpful. They're really more interested in like, how do I protect myself in the world of massive enthusiasm around this tech? The number one way to protect yourself as an organization, and again, this could be you if you're an entrepreneur or if you're if you know an entrepreneur, or if you're inside a company, I'm what I call an intrapreneur. I go into companies and I start these small projects and grow them to be big. When I started, first thing I wanted to see us do was create an internal playground, an internal innovation playground, GPT playground, which meant that I could tell every employee in the company, if you look up in the URL of the browser you're in and you do not see company name GPT, don't use it. Don't use an X for company reasons. Like I use ChatGPT every single day. It is a peer of mine. We are good friends. I talk to it like a co-pilot, like a partner. But I don't use it for my business. In an enterprise where I have data that I care about, where I have trade secrets, where I have patents, where I have anything that I don't want to train an open model on, I want to make sure I have an internal facing inside company. So imagine if you're like Delta Airlines or John Deere, they're a tractor manufacturer here in the US, right? If I'm them, I want a John Deere GPT for my employees to play around with. I want a Delta GPT. I want a, Coca-Cola GPT. Like I want to create a GPT, a Bank of America, whatever it is. I want to create a GPT inside a company so that my employees have a safe, responsible way to think about ways to use this technology. I don't want them playing in the wild. To give you an example of AI gone wrong and how this has gone terribly wrong, last year, I don't know, some of you might remember, there was a developer at Samsung who had, not accidentally, quite intentionally, had been suffering from a debugging problem. I could not figure out the bug in his code and had just uncovered that there was this thing, ChatGPT, and was like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna copy my code inside Samsung, inside our private GitHub repo or Bitbucket, I don't know what it was. I'm gonna copy it and paste it into ChatGPT and see if it can help me. Here's the good news. It 100% helped him, right? It gave him, not only did it fix the bug, but it also, or identify the bug, but it also provided refactoring suggestions. Like he was a rock star. Like, you are amazing. I can't believe you did this. This is great. Until someone was like, wait, so how did you do that? Where did that come from? And you could look up this. This is a story. It was a press cycle. You can Google it. But it's interesting to think through, like Samsung got very concerned, so concerned, in fact, that the CEO of Samsung contacted the CEO of OpenAI and said, get rid of it, delete it. And I don't know if you know a little bit about neural nets, but it's very difficult, if not impossible, to delete something from a trillion parameter model. It takes information and autonomizes it, right? Turns it into like little atomic particles. It's like diffusion, right? So it's very difficult to do. But they made some concessions. And again, you can read about that online. But it is an example of how important it is to give your employees something to use inside your company so that you're not outside your company. Now, the next question is just as important, maybe more so important, but I will go into companies and they will have so many use cases, 900, 2,000, like they will have reams of Excel spreadsheets full of use cases. And I always use an analogy. As a matter of fact, I have a little baby tiger here to help me with it. So I use this analogy of a baby tiger. Everyone's, I think about AI like a little baby tiger. I think about it like, we can adopt, just imagine, if you will, that you adopted a baby tiger, right? You adopt this baby tiger. It's super cute, by the way. Everyone loves baby tigers. When I show this, usually people are like, oh, so cute, right? Everyone loves baby tigers. You adopt one, and usually you adopt a baby tiger and you're like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. I want to show you to all my friends. I want to put you on the Instagram. Let's create a TikTok. I want to go viral, right? But nowhere in there often are you thinking, wow, what big paws you have, or look at those teeth. What are you going to do with those when you grow up? We don't really think about that when we're super excited about a cute little tiger. AI models are very similar to this. Everyone is adopting these little models, but no one's really asking at the time of adoption, at the time of building an AI model, no one's asking the most important question. How could this hurt someone? What will you grow up to be? I always used to joke, you're one acquisition away from the Death Star, which means like you're one acquisition away from a company using the goodness that you built and using it for an intention that you didn't set, that you didn't have. So how do you make sure? Now, I'm a rescuer, which means I've rescued animals that were in trouble. There's a lot of animal rescues here in the US, and I rescue cats. During COVID, we rescued a few cats. Now, when I went to go adopt these cats, here's a fun fact. They don't just let you go and get them and take them home. They interview you. They ask you questions like, how are you going to take care of this cat? How are you going to feed it? Where is it going to live? Will you declaw it? Will you, what is your philosophy? Some will even say, I want to come to your home and look around and see how it's going to live, all before I can take it home. And I used to always think to myself, like, isn't this cat homeless? Like, why are you interviewing me? Like, I don't understand. But the reality is they want to make sure that the environment it's going into, that it's a protected space. With AI, we don't do any of that. There is no AI rescue. Maybe somebody needs to build that, but there is no like AI rescue system. There's no system that says before you adopt that baby tiger, before you adopt that little AI model into your organization, I want to know, how are you going to feed it? Data. How are you going to protect it? Right? Guardrails. How are you going to, where is it going to live? How's it going to be? Let me come and do a home check on your AI environment. Nobody does that, but it is critical to the success of AI projects. There is a term which is called AI red teaming. It's a verb, not a noun. It's an action that you take as someone building projects. My company, AI Leadership Institute, this is exactly what we do. We go into organizations and we help them build AI red teams. What this means is that you need people who are going to help you figure out, will this model hurt anyone? And red teaming comes from a cyber security, but in cybersecurity, it's almost always geared towards adversarial attacks when people are intentionally trying to break into your system. Well, fun fact about artificial intelligence, it is not always adversarial that you need to worry about. You also need to worry about benign interactions, positive interactions, but unexpected interactions that generate unexpected outcomes. That is critical. So the last question that people ask me is often around, how do we build this? But before I get there, before I get to the red teaming portion, I want to just share with you a three-step framework that I use for measuring what use case I use. The first thing I ask companies is, what are their core values? Why do you want this tiger? Right? And the reason you need a very clear indication of what your core values are, the reason you need a very clear understanding of those core values is that your AI system will amplify those. But even more important than, hey, whatever I believe is going to get amplified by this model, even more important than that is that when you build an AI system, it isn't going to work right away. I don't know if you know this, but Sam Altman at OpenAI has talked openly about how long it's taken. Does anyone know how long it took OpenAI to get to market? 7 years. 7 years. As a matter of fact, there's a bunch of really cool, interesting ideas around people who have built different things in the world. I don't know if you're familiar with the Broadway show Hamilton. It's actually where my shirt came from. It took also 7 years. There's a big guy in producing. He produces movies. His name's Tyler Perry. You might know him. He's an actor as well. But Tyler Perry, his first Broadway show took him also 7 years. The reason that you can do something for 7 years and consistently go after it is that your core values are tied to that thing. You know that you cannot give up. You have to do it. And so when you build an AI system, it's extremely important as a company that your core values are integrated into why you're doing what you do. Because when things get hard, you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to say, it doesn't work, forget it. And you won't, obviously, you could quit, but then you don't get your outcome. You don't get your desired outcome. And it does come. But quitting is the number one reason why AI systems fail. Now, and let me give you an example. During COVID, a research paper came out, and you could Google this as well. A research paper came out, and it cited 5 different companies, big companies, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta. Meta wasn't Meta then, they were just Facebook, but Meta, all these different organizations, 5 of them. And this research paper called them out because their computer vision model could not see people of color, which meant that, thank you for that question. I will definitely get to those in a second. So which meant that when you are building, right, these use cases, they give you the ability, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, so these core values, right, when we're building with these core values, they give us the opportunity to really examine whether or not we're going to stay for the long haul. So as I was mentioning with like Facebook, Meta, they had these models that could not see color, which meant that when you asked a question, hey, what is the, show me a CEO, or who, show me an IBM consultant. You can do this to this day in Dolly, and it's a very sad thing. Create a graphic of a IBM consultant, and you might be able to guess, but chances are it doesn't look like you or me. Or maybe it does if you happen to be, white and older, maybe. But it ended up not seeing color. In other words, when you asked it questions, the only information it would give back to you was white, Caucasian male information. So this research paper did research. It presented that research to the companies. And again, unless solving this problem is tied to your core values, you're going to go, wow, that's expensive. It's expensive to go out and get a bunch of CEO pictures of women of color, of women, of men, of, just to gather inclusive data is expensive. So when you're gathering inclusive data, you have to have within you like this desire to be like, we're going to do this right because I believe in it. As a CEO, an executive, a leader, you're going to have to know what you want. So that's the first thing, is your core values have to be intact, because if you don't, and the end of that story is, of the 5 companies, only 2 of them decided to continue. Only 2 of them, Microsoft and Meta, both decided to continue the work and invest in building the right model. And I always tell people, models are not broken. AI models, machine learning models, they're never broken. Once, I should say, applied AI models are never broken, meaning that they've already gone through that phase of like, model implosion and all of that, if you're familiar with the term. But once they're working and have worked for years, they don't break, right? What breaks is our interest in educating those models to become better. I always say models are not broken, they're just untrained. Like tigers, right? Right? Tigers are not, they're not harmful unless you don't train them, unless you don't take care of them, unless you don't put guardrails around them, then yeah, they could hurt some people. So understanding your core values is first. The next thing you need to know about building the right use case is what risk looks like to you. What is risky to you? And avoid those things. So pick use cases that are in alignment with your core values, and avoid use cases that you deem are risky. And an AI red team is an excellent organization inside your company that can help you evaluate that risk. You can, of course, build your own internally, or take one of our workshops, or you could outsource it to other companies. There's consultancies that do red teaming as a service. I, though, am a personal believer that people inside your company are the best at this. The last part of that rubric, core values, what is risk? The last rubric of deciding what to start with in Gen AI, specifically AI in general, is how complex is it? Go after use cases that align with your core values, that are not as risky, and that are easy to go after. Like I said, I built 30 projects last year, and I used this exact rubric to decide which ones, and all of them were successful. In other words, all of them met the metric of success we identified at the beginning. Now, in order to do this, as I mentioned, and I'm going to go into the red team questions in just a second, but in order to do this, you need people, and you need the people that understand the problem the best. And that is our workforce. But before we get there, I wanted to share with you just a few seconds. This is actually a video you can find on YouTube, but I'm going to pull it in and let you see it. This is an AI use case that was easy to solve for. It was complex, but it was easy to solve for, and I'll share with you why at the end. But I'm just going to play it for a few, maybe a minute, so you can hear kind of what's happening. This is a generated model, if some of you know AIR, that's helping solve a very important use case for sellers.
Hello?
Hey, James.
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, James. It's Alexander from Tesla Motors. How's your day going so far?
It's going pretty good, my man. How about yourself? And you said from Tesla, right? It's the car company?
Yeah, that's right. I'm calling from Tesla Motors, the car company. Did you have any trouble or questions while customizing your car on our website?
No, we're just kind of shopping around and, just taking a look.
So you could see,
Gotcha.
I'm going to actually stop it here. You could see, like, here's what's happening. The problem that we were solving is sellers don't like calling on people that they don't know. It's called cold calling, or what's called interruption calling, where you're interrupting someone in their day and be like, hey, can I sell you something? Sellers, for the most part, do not like doing this. The best sellers in the world do it all the time, but everyone else who sells is like, I hate cold calling. I don't want to do it. So now we've got a pain that we want to solve for. We then introduce neural natural language, neural text to speech. So we now are taking in the information, and it's going against a large language model, and AIR is generating a neural language model that has this superhuman sound, but it's listening, obviously, live, listening to the caller and answering questions along the way. It is also getting smarter as it goes. It's learning how the user talks and then starting to model and mimic the way they talk. And this is what the best sellers in the world do. If you talk fast, the seller talks fast. If you talk slow, the seller talks slow. These things, it's called mirroring. Dale Carnegie, as a matter of fact, I might have his book in my bookshelf. He wrote a book called Winning People something. Anyway, it's a very popular book. I'll put it in the chat. It's like influencing people, winning friends and influencing people, I think is what it's called. But it's basically, how do you interact with people? And so this model is being trained to interact and mirror and do all these things with a superhuman sounding voice. And the goal of it is not to sell anything. I don't know if that's ethical. I don't know if AIR even thought about the ethics of that. They probably did. Its only job is to get you to the point where you say, yes, I want to do the next thing. I want to either buy something, so I'll connect you with someone who can help you with that, or I have a question and I need a PDF, or I have a question, I need a website, or I have, a question about colors. Like, how do we keep people engaged in the process of about to buy something from us? Pretty interesting stuff. Now, the reason that is now in production, that product exists today, and probably one of the things that I'm most interested in is that our workforce, meaning everybody inside the company, is now what I call a prompt engineer, right? Someone who's going to be prompting a model, asking a model for help, symbiotically relating with a model. So the number one, this is again, the third most important question people have is, how do you upskill your workforce? How do you make sure everybody knows what they're doing? How do you train everyone on how to adopt a baby tiger safely and responsibly? Now, yes, great question. These are awesome questions. Okay, I'm going to go through them in just a second. So we, of course, have more power than ever. This is a chance for everyone to chime into the chat, if you don't mind. Maybe you know how this quote goes. I'm going to test you. It's the only test we have today, and then we're going to jump into some Q&A. But knowing what you now know, right, about the arc of building a responsible project, that you start with core values, you identify risk, right? You build systems for mitigating that risk, and then you encourage your entire workforce to become part of the development of a solution. We have the ability to now build software without writing a line of code. Thanks to Power Platforms at Microsoft, we are now seeing no-code solutions out of Bedrock and Gemini using SageMaker. Like, there's so many opportunities for us to build things. But maybe you know this one, right? If you know how this quote ends, type it into the chat. With great power comes, anyone? You might know it. I think you do. With great power comes great. I see it. I know you do. Responsibility. Thank you. Abhiseka, thank you. Right? Of course we know this one. And if you don't, you should watch Spider-Man, the first one. The first one of three. I think there's 3 different series you can see this in. But Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man, but if you want to go a little bit further back, Voltaire actually originated the phrase, right? If you now have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you, but you also now have the responsibility of building responsible solutions that don't hurt anyone. And the good news is that when you build systems, when you build AI systems with safety in mind, not only do you serve more people, you employ more people. So you don't want to be laying off people in your company these days, right? Because you actually need those very same people to help you as you grow the funnel of your organization with this technology. People are realizing now that the mistakes that they made earlier this year and last year in laying off their workforce is actually going to hurt them in the coming years, because they're going to need people who understand their business, who understand their business problems. So red teaming is the technology or technique that I use. Like I said, remember, it's a verb, not a noun. This is not something you buy. You can get educated on it. My organization offers education. I do free training all the time. I talk about it on every stage I'm on. But it's an important term to go look up, because it's actually a practice that is currently in place at Microsoft, at Amazon, at Meta. It's how they make sure that the systems they're building are safe. So to the question earlier, it actually was a direct message, so I hope you don't mind me answering it for everyone. But there was a question that says, how does AIR make sure to protect human values? Well, I don't personally know, because I'm not inside that company. They are not one of my clients. I can speak on behalf of my clients. But they would have a red team. Now, here are the 4 things every red team is responsible for. Number 1, they are responsible for what's called the human experience, HAX. I'm going to actually type that in. HAX toolkit. Oh, and you can Google this. This is just level 1 toolkit. So this is the first thing. It's a Microsoft toolkit, but it's sorry, everyone in the meeting. So there's HAX toolkit. That's what you want to look up. So that's the first thing, right? HAX toolkit. It's called Human AI Experience. The Human AI Experience is getting testers, beta testers, lots of them, to hammer on your system before you go. They will be the ones, because they're not technologists, they're not data scientists, they're users, they're employees, they're people in employee resource groups that are going to come and help you just test out the model. Good news, every company has employees, even if there's only one. So you have built-in beta testers that are not super close to how you built the system. So they'll give you very good data. You have to create a mechanism for capturing that data, but that's what the HAX toolkit is all about. So the first step in building a red team's responsibility is to control and mitigate for the human AI experience. So that's a toolkit to help you with that. The second thing is what you all are probably very familiar with. If you're not, I'll introduce it to you. It's called prompt engineering. And in the prompt engineering, the most critical, let's see if I may not spell these things because I'm typing and talking. The most critical piece, the layer, safety layer within your LLM or within your AI solution, is the system prompt. It is that text that you provide to a system before you launch a bot to say, here's the rules of how I want you to operate. Now, system prompts, there's lots of guidance on this. Microsoft is very good. It's buried a little bit inside the documentation, but they have blocks of standardized system prompts you can use to avoid some of the most common vulnerabilities in LLM systems today. This includes jailbreaking. This includes prompt injection, cross-prompt injection. These terms are basically the cyber AI terms that we use to represent some of the biggest vulnerabilities in the space. Now, the good news, if you are a practitioner and you're excited about doing this work, the good news about this is that this work that you do, most companies are not even asking the question. They're adopting baby tigers and they're not asking, how will you hurt someone? Like, there is no question right now. So going in and being like, hey, I can help you with this, this is an incredibly interesting time to be offering these skill sets to a marketplace. So Hacks Toolkit, System Prompt, the next two are a little bit more removed, meaning that you don't have complete control as an individual, but you can go and work for these teams. One is the model architecture, and these are answering some of the questions I got in chat. Model architecture, which means like the big guns, the big companies out there. I'm misspelling it. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to put model architect. So that's like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google and others, Meta, Netflix. They all have built models, and the model architecture itself has to be secure and safe. That means that if you're deploying your OpenAI service inside Azure, it needs to be deployed in a well-architected cloud solution. That cloud solution, the data scientist who built the model likely doesn't know how to be a cloud architect, which is why my skill set is so useful, because I'm a cloud architect turned AI practitioner. So understanding the cloud is just as important as understanding data and AI. The last piece is infrastructure, which I just mentioned. I'll just call it infra. So the last piece is infrastructure. So you have the human experience toolkit. Those are people who are testing the model. You have your system prompt. Those are things that you will write into the prompt to tell the model how to behave and how to act. And there are lots of tips for that. The last two pieces are architectural and infrastructure based, and that is going to be offered by a company. I'm going to give you the one that I recently just launched. It's called Azure Content Safety. Very cool. What this means is that you can use AI to automate red teaming activity. So it has a groundedness detector. How do you make sure your models don't lie? Well, you could ask it questions and see if it lies, or you could implement an AI model that'll ask those questions for you and tell you, like alert you when these hallucinations occur. We don't really like using the term hallucination anymore because it's a very limited way of looking at it. It's really just model errors. The models will make mistakes. How do you catch those errors before they hit production or before they hit a consumer? So Azure, it's called Azure AI Content Safety, I think, but that is worth looking up. Also look up AI red teaming. My time with you, of course, is almost done, but I want to answer just a couple questions. Where to start if one wants to master Gen AI? That is the upskilling guide. If you scroll up, you'll see it there above. I can copy and paste it down below, but here's the best way to become like an expert in this field. Actually finish the classes you take. Like that's literally it. I learned Gen AI because I'm a finisher. When I buy a book, I finish the book. Become a finisher. The world rewards finishers. Most of us, we start a class and then we trail off. Most of us start a certification and then we start prepping and we never actually get the cert. Be a finisher. It's the number one way to become an expert, because then once you finish something, that becomes knowledge in your pocket you can now pull on to do your next gig. The second thing I would do is heavily invest your time in GitHub. Go to GitHub and rebuild projects. Make them your own. That's how I got involved in Alexa and at Microsoft, is I just started rebuilding other people's projects. Then I started assembling them and composing them and building new projects. But you have to be a builder, be a finisher, be a builder. These are the keys to be actually using this technology for good. It's not enough to just take the class. You know, like most people don't even finish it. Put your fingers on a keyboard and actually build something. All right, I'm just going to scroll up really quick, see if I can capture two more questions. Okay, red teaming does include data localization. Thanks for that question. What are the, oh yeah, I already went through the AI red team qualifications. It doesn't actually take much, like you don't have to be special to be on a red team. You just have to know the questions to ask. And I just gave you the four components of that. Let's see. What about some great courses to start with? So that's in the guide itself, but I am also an ambassador for deeplearning.ai. I'll put that in here. I'm a pie and AI ambassador. And what that means is that every month in my local town, I get real pie, like strawberry pie, cherry pie, apple pie, and I bring it in and I teach people AI and then I give them pie. So that's the event. However, at the end of it, Deep Learning gives 50% coupons. We do them virtually too sometimes. But Deep Learning gives out 50% coupons to their paid courses. But deeplearning.ai has lots of free courses. My very first one I'd encourage you to start with, if you're brand new to this, is the generative AI for everyone. Start there and then test your ability to finish. Finish it. Like actually get to the end. Only 10% of people finish what they start. Be a finisher. That's like my life lesson for all of you today. I hope you enjoyed the session. Throw a message into the chat if you thought this was helpful. I definitely would love to have you connect with me online, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to get any of these resources, I'm happy to share the links. Feel free to do that. I'm trying to think. I'm just going through really quick to make sure I didn't miss anyone's question. So anytime you think to yourself, how does an AI model do blah? The AI models don't do anything without human intervention, without human reinforcement. So if you want a model to have human values, to be responsible, to not hurt people when they grow up, the only answer to that is having a human in that process, in the training, in the development, and in the testing to ensure that that model doesn't do the thing you're worried about. Humans are the safeguard. You can use AI to implement those safeguards and amplify those safeguards, but defining them, that's a human activity. And that's what responsible AI is really all about. Thank you again for sharing my LinkedIn profile in the chat. Hopefully we're all friends now. I hope you found it helpful. Thanks for having me. I will stop sharing now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yes, Noel, thank you for this wonderful sessions. We have few more questions from our live.
Oh, great.
So is it okay? Can I
Yes, I just I didn't know if I was at time, so I wanted to make sure I was respectful of the time.
No problem. We just have two questions from our live.
Sure.
I'll just quickly ask. Yeah, so how can retailers leverage text to image AI to create a dynamic product visualizations for e-commerce?
Great question. It's a
Yeah.
little embedded. Did ChatGPT help you write that question? So
Okay.
one of the things, I think the most important thing in retail, and this goes back to kind of understanding what to go after, like that question is not, I would ask instead, like, what are you trying to do? Because oftentimes what you're trying to do is sell more things or create a better experience. And yes, right now, what I love that's happening in the world of AI and in retail is that if I start, and actually I have a YouTube video for this. I won't be able to find, maybe I'll find it before I sign off and put it in the chat. It's on my YouTube channel. You can find it. But I did a demo at Microsoft Build a few years ago. And in this demo, I allowed someone to go in and you're searching for something you want. You go to a retail website, and let's say you want to find like a watch. Rather than having to say, I want a watch and I want it to be rose-colored gold and like describe it, instead, you could use text to image, right? You could say, and actually instead of text to image, it could be voice to image. Just describe it. Or better yet, why not don't use text at all. Let someone take a picture of a watch that they like from Amazon does this. They call it X-ray on Fire TV. You can actually take pictures of things on Fire TV, a dress an actress is wearing, and you can say, I want to buy that dress. I don't have to use a text to image to do that. I can actually bypass it and go right to image searching. So I encourage you as you think about solutions, not to let tech drive how you reinvent on behalf of your customer. Because sometimes we're like, well, text to image is available, so I should use that. But what if you I always say, bring back the backlog, erase everything that we currently do and think, what's the easiest way my customer could get what they need? And the easiest way is if they could just take a picture of what they want, or if they could just, snap a picture of their shoes and say, I want these shoes. You could do all of this on Amazon today. And the reason they did that is they found their customers didn't want to describe what they were looking for. They wanted to actually show you what they were looking for and hyper personalize experiences based on that. So that answers in a nutshell. I mean, it's obviously a very complex question you asked about two different models, but in a nutshell, I'd encourage you to kind of think a little bit differently, step outside the box of how do I use text to image to generate more opportunity, and instead think, what's the easiest way for my customers to buy more things? And the easiest way may not necessarily be the tried and true models that we've used over the last 5 years. What was the next question?
Yes, one more question, that is, what about the BPO guys? How they will take this forward, text to voice or voice, like vice versa? And if AI is about to sell their job, will be they in trouble?
Yeah, so tell me what BPO stands for you. Write in
I guess he has
Laura.
not mentioned
Yeah,
like
you could
this.
write it in really quick if you want to, what BPO means. I'm presuming you mean like maybe customer service people, contact center,
Business
business process
process.
outsourcing. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
great. So, thank you very much for that. Everyone else seems to know. See, so I'm very humble. Like I don't mind not knowing some things. I'd rather ask than guess. So BPO, or in this case, there's lots of opportunity for, and I actually just saw a project we started last year go live, and it actually was for automating business processes. However, it actually was not replacing the people that were doing the work. It was amplifying the work. So what we often will do is go into BPOs specifically, or go into organizations and ask them or evaluate or analyze how they do the process they're doing now, and then use AI to actually influence, or it's called agents, right? We'll build a small agent for one part of that process. We still need a human in the loop to make sure that the process actually happens, that the model doesn't make mistakes, that there is security and guardrails being held in place. So there's always going to be humans in the loop. But can we make the job of that person easier? And when we make the job easier, when we make someone who's in this role, when we help them do their job better, guess what? They do more of that job. They do more business optimization, more business processing, more helping more customers, talking to more people. Like it's not, we don't, number one, we can't get rid of the people also because of the trust impact. Most organizations are not going to, it's just like right now, Tesla vehicles today have full autonomous driving capability. Do you know how many humans are choosing to opt into that full capability? Like less than none. A few, but not nearly. I mean, last year, the Tesla was the number one car sold. Number one car sold in like the world, the number one car. So if that's the case, no one, I mean, less than 1% of those drivers are turning on a feature that allows them to take away their job of driving. But guess what? They don't want that. They want it to help them. They want to get lane notifications. They want to get guidance. They want to get amplification and help, but they don't want full autonomy. And I think we're starting to see a lot of that happen in the consumer world. So yeah, so no, I don't think there's any reason to be fearful of any job. I do think though, if you are in BPO and you do not understand AI, this is that phrase some of you have heard, right? It's not AI that's going to take your job, but another individual in that space that is using AI, they will definitely take your job. They will be able to do things better, faster, stronger than you can if you do not step in and learn how this technology will impact your role. The best thing you can do is figure out how can you use it personally to make you better at what you do every day without needing a system to take over. I think that's probably one of the most impactful things you can do for your career.
Yes, thank you, Noel, for like answering these questions.
You're
So
welcome.
unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Yes.
So yes, we have many more questions, but we are running out of time. So yes, Noel, before we move forward with the gamification session, as I mentioned before, do you have any last statement to add to this like session?
Absolutely. Well, number one, I definitely encourage you to connect. I do have a free community where I share all sorts of stuff about what I'm talking about and where I'm going. I'll put that comment in the chat for you. It's called the I Heart AI community. So I have a shirt I almost always wear that says I Heart AI. And it's a free community. It's just a chance to connect with other people from all over the world. I will be in New Zealand next week. But connect with people and learn by doing together. Many of the people in my community will meet with other people and like you could build a bot together or you could have a conversation. It's really much more valuable, but also much more fun when you have this conversation with others. I think the most important thing you can do is also learn through other people's experiences. Whenever you have a question, like there's a question here, thanks Victor for it, around how do you empower leaders? I always say, show, don't tell. Like be a person who shows the value of this technology through demonstration, through practical exercises, through building demos and examples. Because leaders will become much more interested in what you're talking about when you can show them value, as opposed to just being like, no, trust me, it's valuable. Like, they want to see it. And this kind of technology is the easiest to demo. All of the projects that I sold last year, I sold because I demonstrated in real time how they would get the value that they wanted. And when you do that, that changes the conversation, especially with leaders. So thank you so much. Yeah, that's the end of my tips and tricks, but I'll also type into the chat the community if you want to join. We'd love to have you there.
Thank you so much, Noel, for this wonderful insights. Yes, stay connected with us, everyone. We'll be shortly starting with the gamification session now. And I would like to welcome my colleague, Ms. Setulu, to take this forward.
Thank you, Anjali, for that, and thank you so much, Russell. What an interesting session we had. We wish we could continue on, but sadly, there is a time limit, so we had to stop it there. But anyway, we had such an amazing time, and hopefully we'll get another session with you. If you have time, do stay with us to play this game, because you can also participate and play along with us. And the questions will be related to the retail. Just before I move ahead here, I did see some questions. Somebody was asking about courses, which courses would be good for generative AI. So just want to let you know that GSDC also has the Gen AI specific for retail courses as well, and other programs. If you want, then you can check it out on our website, and you can get connected with our advisors as well to learn more about it. So yeah, just moving ahead here with the gamification series. I am posting the link of the gamification here on the chat box. Do go to the link, and the session ID is 1786. So I will just share my screen here quickly to show you about what you will be seeing through that link in a second. Yeah. Okay. So I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Yeah, so if you click on the link that is shared, you will see this screen where you can sign in with your Google account, or you can sign up as well. If you sign in with your Google account directly, you will be led to the dashboard where you can see your past games that you have played, and from there you can just click on your account ID, and you can click on change session, where you can input the session ID for today, that is 1786. So if you do not have any account yet, and if the Google login is not working for you, you can also sign up. You can sign up from there. The option for sign up is just below the Google sign up. You can just click there. You can enter your details and then enter the session ID, that is 1786. If you're having error for signing up here, you can utilize a dummy email. So dummy email, you can sign it up, and then you can enter this 1786. Make sure that your name is the right name, so that if you win on this game, then we will be able to track you down. So just sharing the ID and the link again. If you did not find it, please connect with me on chat, so that I know that you are able to go through here. If you are facing any problem, let us know. Once you are here, once you have added your session ID, once you have added all your details, you will see this screen. That is the game that we are going to play, which we call a stack of coins. So stack of coins, already you know what that is. You will have a stack of coins where you will be gaining the points according to the answers that you give. So suppose you answer the question in the first try, you get 100 points. On the second try, you get 50 points. On the third try, you get 25 points. And on the last try, you do not get any points. So that would be the stack of coins, and we'll play this for 2 minutes. For a 2-minute session, we'll play this, and hopefully we will get an engagement. There will be a 10-question list, and you can answer it accordingly. So while everyone is joining here, let me start the session. You can go to your gamification screen and sign in there. I am just starting the session here. If you are ready, if you are on the screen, you can directly join the quiz. I have started the session. So I'm just sharing my admin screen here so that you can see how many people have joined on the dashboard. So I see several of the people here. For those of you who are on the live, who are watching us live, you can also see the link and the session ID that would be shared on the comment box. Just click on it and you can join us here. Okay, we'll give it another few minutes, maybe one minute to run this before I start the quiz. Do keep in mind that you will be winning a $400 voucher from us. That is the first winner will get that. The other two winners get to share the Wall of Fame, GSDC Wall of Fame with the winner. The 1786, you have to enter it on the session ID. If you are signing up, you can enter it on the session ID. If not, you can click on your name account here on the top right, and then change session will be there. So just click here on change session and you will get the option to enter the ID. All right. Okay. So yes, so just sharing my dashboard here again, the lobby. Yeah. Okay, so we'll give it one more minute, just one more minute, and then we'll start away. Then we'll have the game for 2 minutes straight. So 2 minutes will be the time of the game. Do join in quickly before we start here. Just 1 more minute. If you have any, if you are facing any issue, let us know in the chat box so that we can help you out. The session ID is 1786. You can click on the top right to put the session. That is, just click on the change session and you will be able to enter the lobby. We have just few more seconds and I will start the quiz. You can click on Tech Challenge once you are on the lobby. Once you see the game, you can click on Tech Challenge, then you will enter the lobby. Okay, I hope everyone is ready. I'm about to start the quiz. Okay. All right, so you have 2 minutes to play this game and I have started it right now. Please check out your questions, check out your answers. You have 2 minutes to answer these. I have started my timer here. And once that is time, I will give you an update about the time as well. Do remember that a $400 worth voucher is on the stake. If you have completed playing, you can come back to the screen to see the dashboard as well of the other players who are playing right now. Right now, I can see our speaker Noel is at the top right now. Okay, and somebody has already scored a buffer, so and she is going back again. Please do not refresh your browser because if you refresh it, it will clear all your data. So do not refresh your browser. After the end of the game, we would love to connect with the winners. So if whoever the winner is, if you can connect with us, if you can unmute yourself, show yourself on video and talk to us, that will be amazing. And whoever wins, we will connect with them on email as well for your prize claim. If there is anyone who has played before and has won, unfortunately, your position will be handed over to the next winner because there can only be one winner. So we have 30 seconds left here. If you are still playing, do hurry up. Just 30 more seconds. I will do the countdown once we have 10 seconds left. I see a very I see a very good competition going on here. Our speaker, Noel Russell, has topped again. So the other participants, I believe you should start trying to beat the speaker here. Okay, we are out of time, but I'll give it another 1 more minute because we have the players are still playing on. So just 1 more minute, I'll give it. Okay, so I see most of the players have completed. All right, so I'll just do a countdown and we'll stop this quiz in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so that is the end of the quiz. Thank you so much, everyone, for playing. And we see here Amit has won the game with 950 points. Our speaker Noel is also there at 950. However, the timing that Amit has scored is more than our speaker Noel. So Amit has won this. So thank you so much for playing. Amit, if you are comfortable with it, can you please unmute yourself and show us your video and let us know what was your takeaway here. Hello, Amit.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How was your takeaway of the game?
Oh, I think excellent session. I think thanks, Noel. I think really, really insightful. I think I've been uh, attending some of the session, and I think this was one of the best ones. So I think thank you, Noel. I think really useful, really insightful as well to know more around what is going on across industry. So I think that's what I would say. Really, really insightful. Thank you.
Congratulations, you beat me by 2 seconds.
Yes.
I was
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was noting, right? I thought, yeah, I know. Oh, that's good.
congratulations.
I was
It's
competing
awesome.
against the best, right? So that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
That's what I was feeling, right? I was competing on someone who's leading speaker, right? So it's good to see that.
Yes, very good.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Thank you so much for playing. Thank you, Amit. We'll be in touch with you, and thank you, Noel, as well. And also congratulations to Haddock as well. Not forgetting Haddock. You three will be on top of our Wall of Fame, on the GSDC Wall of Fame. So thank you so much for playing. If anyone has missed out on playing, if you faced any error and you missed out here, then don't worry. We will have more events. We will have more interesting, valuable, knowledgeable events like this, and we will introduce these games on all of these events. Also, we would love to hear about your takeaways on the games as well, on the session as well, after this session is over. Just before you leave, I do want to let you know regarding the next event that we will be hosting, that is on ISO 27001. So if anyone is interested and if anyone is looking forward to learn more about ISO 27001, do look forward to it. We will have it on 13th and 14th of May. That is next month. We have really great speakers for these, Rinsky Gerlings and Mike Boudwell. So you will be getting a lot of good knowledge from there. And also, if you have any colleagues who would be interested in this, please do let them know. We will keep you informed on your email with us on our socials as well. Do follow us on our socials to get more information about that. Do give us a follow on LinkedIn to keep on getting updated about these events, and also do leave us your feedback on our Trustpilot. It will be really helpful for us to know about your feedbacks. And I believe we have a Generative AI Foundation certificate for all the attendees who had attended our Masterclass series. We had began from October last year, and today marks the last session of this event, and it has been really successful. Thank you so much. We have had thousands of registrations, and to thousands of you, thank you so much for being with us. We will be getting in touch with you by next week regarding the complimentary vouchers. So we will contact you again. We will get in touch with you on email, and we will connect back again with you. So thank you so much for being here. we have left the links on the chat box, the social links, the Trustpilot links. Do take a few minutes of your time to leave us your feedback there, to connect with us, and also to connect with our speakers here. And okay, and do reach out, do come for our ISO webinar session as well on May, and we'll be happy to see you there. Thank you so much again to everyone. It has been a pleasure. And thank you to our speaker, Noel, as well. It has been a pleasure. Thank you, Anjali, for hosting. And yeah, until we see you again, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, evening, or wherever you are watching this from.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Noel. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye.